Okay, we're going to pick up with Mark 9, chapter 9, verse 10, part 12 here. And let's see. Everything looks good. Now, I do have to explain something here that I've been telling you that it's Isaiah, and I was going to look up the text for that verse. Actually, it came from our Creator's hidden formats. So if you try to go look for the text that does say that, it's not going to be there in Isaiah. But I'm going to leave Isaiah here, and when I get to our Creator's hidden formats, you'll see how I developed that verse. But here, they seized upon the statement discussion with honor or dead might mean. This was supposed to be a continuation. Okay. He says he's going to rise from his death. This is the first full time he's telling them that. And then they ask him, why are we that it is that Elijah is supposed to come first? No, that would be, the scribes were saying that. So all of a sudden they believe in reincarnation. And now you know the scribes that have this practice with the so-called female goddess have like Buddhism involved in their practice. That reach over that far from India to come over and edit the text to do that, or at least share their knowledge of to corrupt the priests and so scribes. There is a hint in the 1611 preface where the text says it was lost from them for 100 years, out of their control. But what I found is that the ones who come in here and did a lot of editing are the Taoists back in the day. There's just too many hints in the other books that tells me that, but I don't want to get into that right now. But we can't have the disciples believing in something false. So I have the word just then to skip to here. He told them again, Elijah prophesied, I am to suffer and die. So a lot of this text then, as I am adding it from our Creator's hidden formats. In case you watched the last video, I am now telling you that what I said before goes to with what I just stated. And here they had Jesus saying or believing in or speaking about reincarnation as a fact. He has indeed come, which we know that's a lie. Okay, now when we got the word back here, this means that the disciples had been sent out and now they're coming back to be together again. And that way this story that's going to happen is based on that, and you'll see it as it develops. But just know that Jesus had told them to meet someplace, and this is when they went back. We don't know where, but they went back. And they saw a large crowd around the other disciples, and our scribes were arguing with them. So we're closer to Jerusalem, so there would be scribes definitely from there. and the crowd saw Jesus, they ran to greet him. So now Jesus comes up to the disciples that he told them to meet, and he asked them, what were they discussing with them? And we can come down here, and a father from the crowd told him, he's telling Jesus, I brought your disciples, my son. I brought to you and them, my son. So it's not changing much here, but your disciples, for he is possessed. My son is possessed with a demon with a spirit, and we have to change the word spirit to a demon. They're the cause of the illnesses and things that and diseases. So, who makes him have convulsions, doesn't make him mute. Example, whenever it seizes him and dashes him to the ground, that is a sign of epilepsy. Okay. So this convulsion is that a person does seize up or they collapse to the floor, and they might even swallow their tongue, which could choke them and kill them. So the thing here is if you're interested in knowing about how to prevent epilepsy seizure for your friend, I advise you to look up some advice off the internet from doctors, okay? Because I knew a paramedic who knew how to take care of that or help them, person like that. So they do have a way to help them. But it throws him to the land and then spit and grinds his teeth. He has spit and grinds his teeth. So that when they're seasoned, I don't want to say foams from the mouth, but it's just spit running out while they're grinding their teeth. And then he stiffens is what he's saying. And I told your disciples to cast it out from him, but they could not do it. So I'm just adding a text to make the sentence read more correctly and without commas and all that other stuff that they put in. And Jesus said to him, you are an unbeliever in me. That's why like I said, when Jesus is telling us right here that if you were not a believer that trusted that Jesus was who he is, you weren't being healed back then. You think Jesus was healing anybody and everybody. He was healing and raising people from the dead that know him as their king, or they were very much obedient to our Creator. So this means that the disciples here were trying to help us son, or these other disciples were trying to help him, and it just wouldn't happen. The healing would not take place. So he says, bring him to me. Jesus is not going to complain about this generation and how long will I have to put up with you. That's just not true. Jesus doesn't, like I say, complain. It just doesn't make sense why he's a complainer. Then they brought his son, not his boy, but his son. That's what they said. And the demon threw him into a convulsion, and he fell to the land. And he rolled about and spit from his mouth. You can see that this here word is they're even adding to try to make sure, because they added the word beginning as well, or began. Jesus asked his father, how long has it been happening with him? Jesus most likely knew the answer anyway, but his father told him from childhood. There's nothing too difficult there. Now, if it throws him into fire and into the water, fire would scar the boy up. So we don't need any of this extra malarkey, because when a seizure happens, they just, from the experience I've had around my friend, that yes, he had a seizure, and I wasn't able to help him out. But like I said, the guy I knew knew what to do. It's he does happen so quickly, but I've never seen him roll about. But I'm leaving those words in there. And I don't think, if there was a fire nearby, yes, it would happen. If there was water nearby, yes. But to throws them both into fire and into water, just one time in the fire and having scars, that person would know to stay away from stuff like that. So this is in water. What water? He's going towards Jerusalem, and right now there are no lakes in the Promised Land except for Lake Galilee. Everything else is just rivers. So to say that it into water, it's kind of hard to say whether this should be rivers or streams or puddles. Will you take pity on us and heal him? So Jesus says to him, everything is possible for them who believes in me, not just who believes, but believes in me. Who Jesus is explaining, I am your king. I'm the one who's be able to forgive you to enter into heaven. And then the boy's father, I think that has to have the boy's father said, I do believe in you, help my unbelief. Okay. Doesn't need to say cried out, nor does he just have to say he began to say. I'm adding here ID, so there was a Y here. I do believe in you, help my belief. Jesus saw that the crowd was gathering rapidly. He rebuked. Now this, no, this has nothing to do how Jesus would react there. And it's a demon. And this here deaf and dumb spirit demon, that's a new one. I forgot that was in there. But I command you to come out from him, and we don't need to say it after it cried out. It threw him into a terrible convulsion as it came out. So much so he was like a corpse. Okay. But Jesus took his hand and he stood up. Okay. I'm sure that most of them said he is dead. Well, we don't need that. Jesus would have done one right after another. So you don't have time to put all the extra stuff in there. Now it would have been a comment from a disciple if it was there, but that would have been after the thought. But I don't see that relevant to Jesus's teaching to be in depth like that on those words. From there they went throughout Israel, and unwillingly anyone know about it. So no, this is just text that doesn't make sense. Jesus is not there just to not know he's there, or he's not trying to hide from anybody. So I gotta find out why all these words I'm not I do a word search, click it, search it, and I'm trying to do this so I don't have to do this in the middle of all this. Because it is a distraction, but I want the text to reflect how much is added into the text every year when people do this. You can see I added the word demon here. I'm going to replace that. Okay. So now they're just going through. Oh, I forgot to say here. They're saying Jesus is going to say can't be done unless by prayer. No, that wouldn't be true, because we know that our Jesus even depends on our Creator to be with him at all times to fulfill every request Jesus asks from him. So he's asking these healings to happen, not by prayer, okay? And by the way, a prayer is to talk to our Creator. A petition is to ask something. So if you didn't know what a petition was, you're not praying all the time. I can bet on that. Pray, you talk to him. A petition, you're asking from him. And then he said to the disciple, I'm your son from man who delivers the hand. Okay, now here he's going to tell him that I'm going to be delivered to Rome, not just to men, because it's the elders and priests that are going to arrest him, just like he was speaking, I think 2 videos ago, how he was going to die. So I needed the word Rome here to be correct, because it's them who are going to kill him or kill me. And notice how it's like when Jesus is speaking, they've got him speaking in third person. I, your son from man, deliver hands, and they will kill him when he has been killed. It's just weird that Jesus would be speaking in third person, so taking that out. And then he, which is really our Creator, will raise me. And then again, it had 3 days later. It's not 3 days. Remember, Jesus told the other one that was on the cross, you'll be in heaven with me today. So when Jesus died right then, or his body died, his soul ascended into heaven, did not go into the abyss. And that's why when heaven received others, because there is a story ending where it talks about the earthquake and the souls or spirits ascended from the graves. Well, that would have been that was most likely true that happened, because it would have been what our Creator wanted everybody to know, that your souls are now entering into heaven. It would have been the perfect witnessing that his kingdom had started right then. Now, they actually took Jesus on the day of preparation, and day of preparation is the day that was before the first year, just when our Creator told Moses, have him prepare a meal, and then how the families were supposed to sit around and at twilight begin to eat it, and then celebrate the night that their sons, firstborn sons, were not going to die. And so the thing here is most of the people, or the good people, the Israelis, not the Jews, but the Israelis, were out doing what our Creator told them to do, and they were busy. That's when Jesus was arrested. Now remember, night and daylight is one day. They arrested him before the sun came up, and then they took him before Pontius. So the thing here is it was this day that they crucified Jesus. So when it talks about the next day, we have text that says it was said on the first of the week. I think Mary and Magdalene went to put more, what would I say, these spices to keep bugs away from Jesus's body there before they put him into the ground. And yet they witnessed the rock rolling away, and there was an angel in there that says he's gone. So for 3 days, no, he wasn't. Here, they're making Jesus a liar by making him say it was 3 days later, and that's not true. Now, in the practice of having sex with the so-called female goddess, it is the fact that once a year, a male's maleness retracts in the body for 3 days. Why is the calendar set at the first year and set it according to the course of the sun? Well, at the winter solstice, if you put a stake up and you try to figure out where the sun is going to travel, because it goes up and then comes back. Well, actually, in the winter solstice, for 3 days, the sun rises from the exact same spot. So that's why they have this ancient practice of the tied with the sky, and why they have. You have to understand, they didn't have any idea what stars were and galaxies and universe. Back then, they thought these people that that are having sex with the female goddess were dying and ascending to become the hosts in heaven. Okay, the hosts in heaven. So that's why I've removed all the host, YV host of hosts. I've removed all that from all the text. But the object is that the symbols that are in the sky are actually what happens to man throughout the whole, or a male throughout the whole year. That's why there's no females really up there, except that they are the female goddess when if you look in the sky. So everything is tied to that. You got to remember, Satan is in control of this things on earth. So until you wake up and understand what's going on, will you come to really trust me? But I will take your belief from a belief to a trust. So, and they did not understand what we're afraid to ask them. This just added text that does not need to be said. Here, I believe in Copernicum, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is up in, we know where it's at the top of Galilee, Lake Galilee. Yeah, he asked them, what are you discussing among yourselves? Now, I had to add the word among yourselves because I know what the conversation is going to happen, and not discussing on the way. What were you discussing on your way? Where? See, this is the thing. They leave you hanging that you don't know what's going on. So, were you discussing among yourselves? They kept silent, or they were discussing with one another. It doesn't need to be said. Which of them was the greatest? Now, Jesus is going to come down here and tell them that he didn't need to sit down. Jesus said to him, because they're still standing up to talk. The 12 disciples, he said to the 12 disciples, if anyone wants to be first in my kingdom, because I most likely had to add this word to, be first in my kingdom. They will be last of all my servants. And I bet you I had to add my servant, my word my as well. If not, that doesn't hurt anything, I guess. And so then what he did is he took a child and he sat and the child and set the child before him. So you know they weren't sitting down. And he said, "Whoever accepts a child in my name, I will accept them. And whoever does not accept me does not accept who sent me." Now you can see this stuff, whoever receives a child, the word receives, I don't like that word. Accepts is a better word that I'd like to use. Because right now I'm using the word receives as the Hebrew word, and that would be Isaac received Rebekah as his wife. Joseph received his wife Mary. See, that's the type of receiving that I've got the word tied to. So this kind of receive has to be removed from the text to have it have the secular meaning stuck in here. So I'm using the word accepts a child. And like this in my name, which Jesus just took a child. So how is it like this? These words just need to be gone. Receives me. Well, in my name receives me. That is not really true. So I decided to say that I will accept them. So if you're treating a child in Jesus' name the way Jesus has told you to, honor and respect your mother and father. Well, if you're honoring and respecting a child and treating the child correctly and telling them the truth, then this is Jesus, I will accept them. Whoever I've noticed, whoever receives me, and you can't receive Jesus, so I needed to change those words to whoever does not accept me, to go with this side of the verse, not the last part, because it ended with a sentence. And this is a new sentence started over. You can see it down here at the bottom. Does not accept who sent me. Okay, that makes more sense than you not even be able to receive Jesus, and does not receive our Creator who sent me. So it makes more sense and easier to read and understand when it's read like this. So, and that's the main thing I'm doing on all the texts that you're seeing or reading along or following along with me. Jesus, that would be an easy one. Hinder, stop, just to help the 12-year-old readers. Well, see, they were following him, but they cast him out, but they were saying he's not a disciple like us because we had done that. We were sent out as your disciples to be able to cast demons. So here, Jesus saying, no one will perform a miracle by my name, speak evil of me. Who is not against me is for me. So, this be able soon afterward, no, I get rid of that, because that's, if they're doing a miracle in Jesus' name, then they don't. Oh, no one will perform, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, how does speaking evil of him can do this? Who is not against me is for me. So he was more or less telling them that that person was a very strong, dedicated, um, obedient, righteous, most likely male, to do these that his when he most likely seen the disciples out there, he thought to himself, I too believe. And so he went out, and so he was doing miracles in his name, in Jesus' name. He wasn't saying I'm different. He says in Jesus' name. So here we have proof that those who have the will from our Creator to heal people, they can't. Okay. Uh, None of this fake stuff that you see in front of the churches where they bring people up, that isn't how it happens. So, whoever gives you the cup to drink because of my name, this doesn't, whoever gives in my name, this covers everything, not just a drink of water. But whoever gives in my name, followers of Christ, see, Jesus would not refer to himself as Christ because he knows that isn't yet been fulfilled. This hasn't happened yet. So I'm sure that Jesus wouldn't have said that. I say they will not lose their reward from me, and their reward is to enter into heaven. Whoever causes one who believes in me to turn from me, well, turn away from me, it would be better, it would have been better for them if a heavy, I put stone, not a millstone. Millstone is way too big, way too thick, nobody can pick one of them up. So a heavy stone was not hung, but tied around their neck. And then not that they were cast, but they were thrown into the deep lake, into a deep lake. So I'm pretty sure there shouldn't be much problem there of understanding the verses changing. Okay, all these are going to be thrown out. Now, it's been a while since that's happened here in this, in Mark. It happened quite a bit in Matthew. And Jesus would never say to cut off your hand, okay? If your hand causes you to stumble, it's not your hand, it's your thought of coming from your heart of how you become evil. So, and then enter life crippled. Well, actually, if you can't kill your soul, I can guarantee you can't cut off your arms. If physically, yes, your soul, you can't. So your soul is going to be just the way you look. And I'm not sure about everyone's fatness is going to be the same or there. I have not seen that unless, because there's the first video down below. You can talk to the dead. That what makes me special is that video. You can repeat it and visit. Just don't get carried away unless you think you're righteous. That is the video that you should be watching. If you doubt anything I'm doing, and then do it. So this, you can't do any of that. Going to hell. A worm does not die first, which that does this just nothing. Here we're gonna cut off a foot. That can't happen. And then this here, okay, this one here, you can see is added text. Let me show you. Added, and it come from here. You can see the same thing being repeated, but they took it and went upwards with the text. So those verses just don't matter anyway. They were added. If the eye causes stumble, it's better to go one eye. You can't kill the soul. I'm telling you. So Jesus would know this. Everyone will be salted with fire. This makes no sense, okay? So they got Jesus not knowing what their soul is going to look like later. If I do, he knew. He knows. Salt is good if salted lightly, but if over salted, how will you make it unsalty? When you read this over and over in different times, because I think it's written twice, salt is good if salted lightly, but if it was over salted, how will you make it unsalty? Salt yourself lightly to be at peace with one another, okay? So that's the text that's going to be, that comes out of this. So, like I said, here they got, man, I don't know why this computer's not making these things the right color. Okay, it doesn't need to say that he rises up. He went to the region for here Judea, which is Judah. So now we got him going into Jerusalem. So the text from here down is going to be, yes, in Judah. Well, on his way to Judah, he went to the region of Judah. So he didn't go into it yet, but he's going there, because he has to go through Jericho before he comes down into Judah itself. Let me show you here with this map here. So they were meeting someplace along here, and then they go to here, and then they're going to come here. Now notice that the river is only here, okay? So I have this Lake Salty. I don't have it the Dead Sea, but it is a salt water. I mean, bodies float. I mean, you don't have to try to stay afloat. Your body just floats because there's so much salt in it. But I've named it Lake Salty, okay? It's my privilege to edit the text correctly, and it's the Salty Lake. Looks like, I guess I got to change, or Lake Salty, either one works. Jerusalem, it says beyond the Jordan. Well, this, like I said, if he's coming down here and they're traveling around here, this is not Judah. When you study the text, Judah never owned any part of the river. So if they're saying there's a river here, it has to be these over here, and that's not what it is. So this is just, and beyond the Jordan. If he's going to Judah, he's in Judah, and has to be west of the Salty Lake. So now you know that when I was saying that he goes down here and he comes up through here, and probably here or through here someplace, but this is what he's going to do, is come back up through here, west of the Salty Lake. So, yeah, okay, and a crowd gathered to him. Yeah, that makes, there's nothing too difficult to understand there. And I'm going to call that the end, and I'm going to start here with the text here on the next video. Seeming